All right, welcome everyone to the fifth episode of Analytically Bold with Jared and Joe. We're going to jump right into it here with our resident Celtics fan. He's going to give us this little rant on the Celtics loss in the NBA Finals.
Yeah, it's definitely difficult. I feel like in some cases, when you are more upset than angry. Sometimes as sports fans, like when Greg Joseph missed the kick against Arizona, I was angry. When Mike Zimmer's defense allowed the touchdown at the end of the Detroit game, I was sad. I was just kind of, it's like you could see it happening in slow motion and you could feel it. And that's kind of what the Celtics collapse was. On one hand, I am shocked and pleasantly surprised they went that far. I know it's easy for a lot of fans to say that, but the Celtics were a 500 team for over a year. And after Kyrie Irving left, they made the conference finals. And then the past 2 years up until the turn of the calendar year in 2022, they were a mediocre basketball team. And they turned it on. They went on a run that if you ask really anyone in Boston, could the Celtics make the finals? If you asked them that around Christmas, they'd say no fucking way. And they did. And then you recalibrate your expectations because you beat Milwaukee. Well, you sweep the Nets, then you beat Milwaukee, you beat Miami. You're up 2-1, you steal home court versus the Warriors, and you fall apart. And the Warriors championship medal came in. It's not as fiery. I'm not as rah as I'd like to be. It's just sad. Just a sad Boston boy. We suffer too much as Boston fans. It's not fair. Really not fair.
Oh my God.
What they do to us. It's not nice.
Wow. I can't believe you just said that.
He just
said we suffer too much as Boston fans.
We have not had a parade in this city since 2019. 2019, it was the 2018 season when the Patriots won the Super Bowl. Then it's been nothing since. The Bruins lost in the Stanley Cup. I'm not a hockey guy. They lost in the Stanley Cup to the Blues. That would have been another parade. Been 3 parades in 6 months, which would have been really cool. And we should have had this one. The Patriots aren't winning anytime soon. The Red Sox lost in the ALCS last year. It's a tough time to be a Boston fan.
Poor soul. It's only been 31 years since we got to celebrate a championship here. So I don't feel bad for you.
Yeah.
What's that? Yeah, I hope so. I hope so.
I was getting a lot of heat on Twitter today. I'll step back a bit. I was rocking the Aaron Rodgers jersey and getting ratioed on Twitter. And thank God I got thick skin. But yeah, you know how these Twitter arguments can be, right, Jared?
Oh, I know how these Twitter arguments can be. Speaking of Twitter arguments, Natural Lite decided today that they were going to tweet out that. So there's a trend going on Twitter right now where you say she's a 10, and then say something that makes her not like a dateable person, And so Natural Lite tweets out she's a 10, but she drinks Miller Lite. Now Miller Lite happens to be my favorite beer. Okay, so they say that, and so I retweet it and I say then she's an 11 because a girl who drinks beer and especially a girl who drinks Miller Lite, that's an 11 for me, baby. And and they respond with out of 1 million. Okay, so 11 out of 1 million. And so we end up going into this little argument and everything. Not really an argument. It was kind of funny. If you go back on my Twitter and read it, it's kind of funny to go through it all because we're kind of roasting back and forth. That ultimately ended at some point. And that kind of led us to thinking that we should probably go through a little ranking of our top 5 cheap beers. Okay. We aren't out here making the big bucks, and we're not going to be spending a ton of money. And so our top 5 cheap beers. Joe, you want to start it off here?
Yeah, so we're gonna, as we always do, because we're a rankings pod, especially in the NFL offseason. And now, we're baseball guys, but there's only so much baseball you can talk. During the summer, we're a rankings pod, and we're kind of just going as it comes. So always back and forth, descending order. So I'm gonna start at number 5. and I have your nemesis, Natty, at 5. It's not good. Natty is not good. However, if you are a college kid, especially like in the Northeast, you cannot tell the story of your college years without Natty. It's there. It's with every single party. Do we like it? No, but I don't know like how in depth we're going on this. But I was a real degenerate, not like that bad, just like college, normal college kid level degenerate. And I would go to Shippy's, just the greatest liquor store. It's right on Beacon Street, right near Fenway Park, and on the Boston Brookline line. I'd go there and I would get the Natty Daddy. And the Natty Daddy was a tall boy, it was 25 ounces, not even 24, 25 ounces, 8% Natty. And I would brown bag that in my pre-games. So those were the days. It's disgusting. I actually got one a little while ago, just for old time's sakes. I would never choose to drink it again. I just wanted to see how deranged I was as a 19-year-old. Now that I'm a sophisticated 22, soon to be 23-year-old. But I had a Natty Daddy, and it's gross. It is like literally like the grossest thing you can consume, especially like, and then it gets warm and you're brown bagging it like on a hot summer's day. I remember I did that when I was pre-gaming a Sox game. So yeah, but Natty is number 5. You cannot have the list without Natty.
Well, I have a vendetta against Natty now, so I can't have my list without them. So I went with number 5. I put Mick Ultra. It's what my mom drinks. I probably wouldn't drink it if she didn't just have it around when I don't have anything else. But it's to me it doesn't have a whole lot of flavor, and it's kind of just it's there. I'll drink it just because it's there.
Yeah, Mick's not really big in the Northeast. It's not.
It's a Midwest thing. It's mostly because even my aunt, she lives in Kansas, and her favorite beer is Michelob Golden.
I don't even
And
think
she
they
has
have
to,
that in a lot of places.
yeah, she has to buy it when she's here if she wants it. And then she has to take it home with her because it's Mick isn't something that's around a whole lot of places. So
yeah, like you can get it, but it's like it's not like a big thing. I think like the first time I had a Michelob, I was on a trip down to North Carolina, and like my friend had some, and that's like the only time I've had Michelob. So they did not make my list. I guess I mean there's not much to really say about Michelob. I'm gonna go with so at number 4, and I would venture to say, I would guess you have this on your list. It's Coors Light. And Coors Light is the definition of like, doesn't really taste like much. Like it is very close to sparkling water. Like it's like beer flavored water. I don't know. Does it break 4%? I'm going to break that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Does it?
Yeah.
I'm always going on the Google. Let me go. Coors Light.
4.2.
Okay. Wow. It doesn't taste. It tastes like it's like one of those Utah sub 4% alcohol beers. But
the Walmart beer.
Yeah, it's not bad. I've never had a Coors Light and be like, wow, like this is not good. It's like it's fine. I think it was like one of the first beers I had back in high school. And I was not really allowed to drink in high school. Like I would go over like a friend's house like a few times. Like I'd have beer. Wasn't getting blasted in high school. Didn't have those fun high school days at the old Catholic school. But I think that Coors was like one of the first beers I had. And yeah, another one that has to make the list. Didn't have a lot of it in college, funny enough. I guess it was too expensive for the frats to serve. But yeah, I got Coors at 4, Coors Light. Do they have a regular Coors? Or is it only Coors?
There's Coors Light and Coors Banquet.
Never had a Coors Banquet. I've only
Coors Banquet's hot beer. But yeah, so 4, I got the classic Busch Latte. You can never go wrong with the Busch Latte. I actually really like Busch Light. And yeah, I mean, I guess I have a hard time going in depth on beer just because you gotta kind of taste it to understand it. It's hard for me to articulate how a beer tastes. It's just I enjoy Busch Lights. And that's something up at the campground. One of our neighbors up there always has Busch Light stock, and yeah, they're always a real nice one on a summer day.
So this is where I think we're seeing a massive divide for like Midwest.
A geographical, yep.
Because I can't recall ever having a Busch.
Really? That's another big one here.
Yeah. So I think I probably have like at some point had a Busch, but it's not anything that like I can recall like having or seeing a lot of, which is interesting. At 3, and if it pains me to put this at 3 because this was always my number 1, but it was supposed to be discontinued, and then it was stopped, and I think that they're making it differently because it's not what it was. And this is Pabst Blue Ribbon. PBR was what I like my freshman year. If you came in, I had my mini fridge, you would always see a bottle of usually Svedka, sometimes New Am. Sometimes I'd go really cheap with the Rubinoff, but I learned better. And you would always see Pabst Blue Ribbon, like, and I would never be empty. I would always get a new like 30 rack to like recycle, and like there would always be some like there. Pabst Blue Ribbon got me through my first few years of college. I did not drink a lot of it, funny enough, as I got older. And let me look this up because I'm pretty sure that they were going to discontinue Pabst Blue Ribbon. And then it was like they continued making it again, and it tastes different. Yeah, so it was supposed, so yeah, it was so Pabst Blue Ribbon was bought by Miller Coors. And I guess Miller Coors now makes it starting in 2019.
Oh, okay.
And that's funny. Oh no, 2018, which is funny enough. 2018-19, which was my freshman year, was 2017-18. So I actually do notice a difference, and it's not nearly as good. So yeah, I probably like if I was a young kid like you and I was your age and I entered college a year later and only got the shitty Pabst, it would not be on my list like this. But I remember the old Pabst, and that got me through my freshman year. So PBR at number 3.
All right. I've never had a PBR before. Also, I'm not that much younger than you.
No, I know, but I'm just saying it's funny because like they literally changed it, the manufacturer after my freshman year.
You said 2019?
28, yeah, the fall of 2018 is when they changed it.
Oh, okay. So I would have been a senior in high school.
No, wait. Oh yeah, well you would have been going your freshman year. You were
I would have been a senior in high school because I graduated in 19.
Oh shit! I thought you graduated in 18.
No.
Damn, you are a youngin.
I am a little younger. All right. Number 3. You're right. I put Coors at 3. I always just feel like cooler drinking a Coors compared to other beers. It's like all the tailgating parties and everything, it's always Coors, it seems like there. And the commercials and stuff, it's always Coors. After baseball games, we tailgate after baseball games, the team that I play for, and we drink Coors after the games. And their whole mountains are blue concept they got going is really freaking sweet. So yeah, I got Coors at 3 there.
So tell me if like you feel the same way, and I didn't mention this when I was talking about Coors. Because it doesn't really taste like much, it's almost like a placebo. When the mountains are blue, like it tastes different, and like
it's different.
It's like your brain is like, it's like, wow, like, what am I tasting?
Tastes like a blue mountain. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
but no,
it's like I'm tasting blue mountains. It's like,
these blue
like I'm
mountains taste
tasting
great.
melted snow from the Rockies. Yeah. That's like also beer.
Yeah, I think it's the whole the mountains are blue thing is a great little concept that they got going for them.
Yeah, I'm actually texting my friend now because I'm about to give him a shout out as I go to my number 2, and that's Narragansett. And I'm sure you have not had a Narragansett. Narragansett, it's made in Rhode Island, and it's very popular here in the Northeast. And it's just like a very solid beer. And now that I'm kind of thinking about this, like this is an exercise because like I was like, let's do beer rankings because I saw Jared was arguing with Natty, and I'm like, you know what, like we're a rankings pod. We're gonna do things that aren't just sports related. And for me, PBR was the beer of my freshman year, and Narragansett is the beer of my sophomore year. And my friend Eric was the one who always had Narragansetts at his like dorm / apartment. It wasn't like a full-on apartment. It was like a little suite he had. We'd go there like pretty much every day, and he would always have Narragansetts. And like it has an iconic slogan of like "Hi neighbor." And if you're ever down in Rhode Island, because I go down to Newport and Narragansett, Rhode Island, like there are good beaches there. Everyone has like a "Hi neighbor" bumper sticker. It's kind of like just like a local thing, and it's solid beer. It's not, again, none of these beers are like gonna win awards at some micro brewing festival, but it's just a solid beer. It's cheap, and I had to pay homage to my roots, to my New England love of beer. So yeah, I got Gansett too.
Yeah, next time I'm on the East Coast, I'll have to check that out. My godparents, they live in Delaware. They have a little beach house over near Rehoboth Beach there. So I'll have to check that out next time we're out there. But 2 I got, and it's tight for my 1 and 2, but number 2 I got Blue Moons. Blue Moon was like my first like really favorite beer. And you stick an orange in a Blue Moon, and it's like a whole different world that you're living in. And then they have so many different types too. They got the Blue Moon, it's called Light Sky, and it's got actual like orange flavor in it. It's a lighter beer. And then they have different flavors of just the straight up Blue Moon. The mango is really good. I see they've got like pineapple and stuff too. And so Blue Moon is always really nice. That's a nice beer to stick a little fruit in.
So now this is good, because before the show, Jared was like, well, what do you consider cheap? And I said, we're going to say that for the pod. And I don't consider Blue Moon a cheap beer.
Really?
Blue Moon, it's in that Corona sort of price tier. Corona is not a cheap beer. Corona is not an expensive beer. Corona is a middle class beer. Sure. It's like there's so many different things. Like there's like McDonald's burger. There's like your Five Guys burger, and then like your gourmet like $23 like dry aged burger that's like 8 ounce, like there's like the shows on YouTube. They're like the 3 levels, and sure. It's like or the price point show on BuzzFeed, and they're like, we're gonna try like a $1 slice of pizza, $5 like a $5 slice of pizza, and then like a super expensive pizza. Like that to me, Blue Moon, because like I would have Blue Moon. Like I'm a big Blue Moon guy with an orange. I love that. Corona is probably my number 1 beer just to drink on an everyday basis. I didn't put it here because I'm not like, those aren't cheap.
Yeah.
To me,
I was teetering with Blue Moon because I was thinking the same thing as you, because Blue Moon is definitely the most expensive one that I have on here. But I kind of split into 2 tiers. I didn't have 3 tiers. I had 2. I had the ones that you go in a liquor store and you kind of casually buy, and then I split it up with kind of the crafty. You buy 6 for the same price as you buy like what 16 of another type of beer. I kind of just split it in that way. Yeah, and again, that's kind of where objective, your philosophy comes in. I was thinking like I'm in college. I have I'm trying to get to max. I'm playing Quasi. I'm trying to maximize my value of best bang for my buck, while also not drinking like legit sewage water. It's like I'm balling on a budget. So like to go to the vodka, like there's this thing of Silver River vodka, and liquor in Massachusetts is super expensive, like everything here. And it was $12 for the big handle. And when I tell you it tasted like fuel, it was disgusting. Like I puked, not from being drunk. Like I took one sip. Just the taste of it. Yeah. So then that's when I realized, okay, like pay $20 for New Amsterdam and call it a day. So like there are some beers that are like so bad, like the Natty Daddy's like so bad. Natty Lights weren't as bad.
So yeah, we're kind of going off. Oh, and then by the way, my friend Eric said he's drinking a Mick Ultra right now.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah, and he's in Connecticut. So and he said it's literally goes down like water.
Yeah.
So good.
Yep.
So yeah, that's my little rant on Blue Moon, because I would definitely like go all in. Like, okay, another Heineken. What do you consider Heineken? Or Stella?
I consider Heineken bad.
Okay, but like Stella, like price range. Like
No, Stella is up there. I will put Stella on here, but I thought that was a little up there too.
Yeah, well, exactly. So like, I would not put Stella under the cheap beer.
Sure.
But back to the task at hand. Number one, give me the champagne of beers, Miller High Life. I don't know how it should not be this cheap, because I would go, and this is in Boston, Blanchard's Liquor Store, get an 18-pack for $12.
Now?
This was a year or two ago. So
Jeez, still. What?
Yeah. And glass bottles, not even cans. Glass bottle Miller High Life, the best of the best. That is my go-to best bang for your buck is Miller High Life. Number one. I'm not even like, enough said. It's champagne of beers.
So I'm halfway with you on number one. Obviously, you know what my number one is because I said something. Yeah. My favorite's Miller Lite. So my aunt's the one who first like got me to try it and everything. And it holds a sentimental value to me too, because that was my grandpa drank too. But the taste of it is by far my favorite compared to any other beer. So it's not even the sentimental thing that like makes it my favorite. I think it just tastes really freaking good compared to everything else.
I've obviously had Miller Lite. I don't really remember the taste of Miller Lite.
People make fun of me because it's not a common like favorite, but I really like Miller Lite.
The only time, so what I remember of Miller Lite was, I remember one Marathon Monday, I went over my friend's dorm. We were pre-gaming like 5 a.m, and he just bought a bunch of Miller Lights, and we were just playing beer pong with it. It's just not memorable for me. It's like, it wasn't like shitty or cheap enough to be like the frat beer. That was Natty and PBR. And then like sometimes they'd have like Keystone, which sucks like that. And then there's like the Miller High Life, which is my beer of choice, and like Coors Light was another one. But yeah, I can't really recall Miller Lights being a major one. But again, solid. We're both in the Miller family. I just chose the High Life.
Okay. It's kind of funny that we were on this topic though today too, because so I'm in a class right now. It's a history class, and I have to read this book. It's called A History of the World in 6 Glasses. So it talks about the history of the world and like revolves it around 6 different drinks. So the first one's beer, and then wine, and then there's coffee, tea, Coca-Cola, and spirits. And so they just kind of revolved all the history. And there's like, I finished the beer part today, and there's a lot of history behind beer. You know, the first recorded recipe was a beer recipe.
Really? Was it in Germany?
No, it was in Egypt, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, so you're talking like that? Oh, like that?
No, like ancient history, like on stone tablets. Like.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it was like written in Sanskrit or something.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Turning up. The mummies were turning up.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and their whole process, and they would have to use a straw. They'd have to drink through a straw because there'd be sediment and like hops and residue still sitting inside of it, and they would float to the top. So you didn't want to get that part in your mouth because that's gross. And so they'd have to use a straw every time, which you don't drink beer with a straw anymore.
Oh, I have videos of me drinking beer with a straw.
That's.
I used to drink the Natty Daddies with the straw. I left that part out, but now since we're going there, it was really efficient. It was really, when I tell you, because like I'm someone, I don't like carbonated drinks. Like I like beer, and like I'll drink seltzer, but like I don't drink soda. I don't like sparkling water's huge in my family. I don't like it. I don't like anything carbonated. So like I'm someone I can't really chug a beer that well because like I just don't like the bubble. Like so if I want to just suck it down, like a straw is super efficient.
Yeah, carbonation doesn't, but I don't drink pop just because I say pop, another geographic in there, because of the health stuff. But I actually don't drink caffeine at all. But
Oh, look what I have next to me.
yeah, if I had that next to me right now, I'd be up till probably 4 a.m. So
I have about 4 or 5 cups of these a day.
last year, before a baseball game, so I would drink an energy drink before baseball games just because I want that kind of energy in the games, especially for me who I don't drink caffeine. So it'd give me even like more, it had more effect on me than other people would. But I drank one before a night game. So it was like a 7:30 start. And I was up till 4:30 that morning just because I was just like laying in my bed, like not able to fall asleep. Yeah, caffeine and I do not work well together.
Yeah, that was good. We spent a good amount of time on that beer list.
Yeah, I didn't expect to get that much out of it.
Hey, listen, that's part of our lives.
It is. It's an important
We're
part.
men. We're American men.
You have to drink beer. No, you don't have to. If you don't drink, that's okay. Just less exciting. Anyways, let's hop into so last time we went through our quarterback rankings. We ranked, obviously, for quarterbacks, you're going to rank individual quarterbacks. This week we're going to go through the running back group rankings. We figured because we're not Joe made a good point, we're not a fantasy football show, we're just kind of a ranking show, and we're gonna run through the group rankings. So we're gonna go by team. We went top 10, and we're gonna just kind of break it down, go down from 10, our favorite groups from the teams.
I've been going first too much. Why don't you go first?
I will absolutely go first. As soon as I pull this up. There we go. All right, so I'll start with 10. And I said before, once like towards the bottom of this list here, it's kind of iffy, interchangeable. But I really wanted to slip the Jaguars into my list, so I put the Jaguars at 10. James Robinson. Obviously, we've seen how good he has been for his couple of years in the league, and pissed me off because a couple years ago I started doing draft profiles for players and stuff. I didn't do it this year just because I was not having the time to do it. But anyways, so I was going through the running backs and everything, and James Robinson comes up. I clicked on him and I started looking through his film and stuff. I started like one video. I'm like, okay, he goes to Illinois State. I've never heard of him before. I'm just gonna skip past him. Well, come the season and it starts, and James Robinson is like electric. And I was so pissed off at him because I could have looked so freaking smart if I would have just sat through and watched some of his and been like, wow, this guy might be good. I should say something about him on Twitter and see what people say. And then I could have pulled it up later and be like, hey, look at this. I knew this before you guys. But anyways, and then you have Travis Etienne too, who we obviously didn't get to see last year because he got hurt. But through his time in Clemson, he was like insane. The numbers that the guy was putting up were incredible. So it'll be pretty exciting to see those two work as a duo this year. Hopefully Travis Etienne can stay healthy and find himself on the field a little bit. And James Robinson stays in the form that he has been in the past couple of years.
What about Snoop Connor?
I don't know who Snoop Connor is.
I'm just looking at their depth chart. I know. If you asked me 30 seconds ago who Snoop Connor was, I'd be who. But
yeah, I could have gone Robinson, Etienne, and I would not have been able to tell you another person after that.
Yeah, and I actually literally just changed because I'll give an honorable mention to the Chargers because I'm a big Eckler guy, and I have some faith in Isaiah Spiller, but I just had to change it. I was Yeah, this just kind of speaks to how close the rankings are towards the bottom, because I had just changed. I had the Chargers there because I love Austin Eckler. I think Isaiah Spiller is going to be pretty good, but couldn't quite do that. And then the Ravens team, I don't know, you might have them. They're very volatile because they had two very good running backs who both missed all of last year, Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. And then also there's Lamar Jackson, who is the force multiplier, who is part running back. But my number 10 is the Denver Broncos. I think Javonte Williams is very good running back. Again, I'm not big on running backs. I'm more of a committee guy. And I think that Javonte Williams is a very good number one back. And then Melvin Gordon is really good. He could be a number one back on a lot of teams. If he came back for a very good deal, I think he only got like $2 or $3 million a year, which I think is excellent value. And then they also have former Vikings legend Mike Boone, as I looked on their depth chart. So yeah, I mean, there's not really much to say. Like, those are two very, very good backs. And you know what? Mike Boone did not look bad. You know, if something happens where one of these guys has to miss a week and you have Mike Boone as your number two back, he can take some carries. He can get the yards that are there. So I got Denver Broncos at 10.
Yeah, no, Mike Boone didn't suck at all. He was just kind of stuck behind people. But at 9 here, I have the Washington Commanders. So Antonio Gibson, and JD McKissick. I mean, both of them are just solid both ways, especially obviously Antonio Gibson is better, but they both can come out of the backfield and they're great receivers out of the backfield. And I think that it'll help them more to have a little bit better passing game, just to take that, kind of alleviate the pressure on them. But yeah, I got the commies at 9.
The commies. Don't let Mike Castellino hear you say that. He gets very upset when you use that no word.
Why?
I don't know. He just gets, he's like, don't say that. It's the Commanders.
Yeah.
Whatever. So that's a team I don't have on my list. So this is good. We're gonna spark.
I figured we'd vary a fair bit, at least towards the top of the list.
So this is a team that I am like 99.9999% sure that you have, and they're my number 9. And that's your, mine, our-ish kind of mine, Minnesota Vikings. I think Dalvin Cook is quite overrated. I've said this many times. He was not special last year. Madison's good, and I like Kenny. And this is nothing against the Vikings. It's just like, I think there are a lot of teams with really good backs. And I think between the upside that some of the guys on the top end have, combined with like the depth behind them, and I really like Kenny. It just depends on what he can be as that number 3 guy and then obviously you got Ty Chandler, who's gonna, like, which one of these guys is like going to emerge as the pass catching back. And then what Dalvin Cook can do, like, not in the Zimmer offense of just shoving him into the line on every early down. And so, but as of right now, I have the Vikings at 9.
I did not see that coming. All right. So 8, as much as it pains me to ever credit this team with literally anything at all, I have the Packers at 8. Aaron Jones, who I think he was a bit overrated for a while, but I think it's kind of died down now a little bit. But I mean, Aaron Jones, he doesn't suck. Okay, he's a solid running back. AJ Dillon, same thing. The guy's thighs are massive too. Is like the size of like my torso. And then they have who's there? Oh yeah, Kylan Hill. Kylan Hill. At least in college, I really like watching him in college. He played for Mississippi State, and he was really, really solid there. Was not too hot last year for the Packers, but I put them at 8 there.
I think that we just went over 2 NFC North teams that we have different level of rankings to, because I'll get to them, but not for a while. At number 8, I have the Dallas Cowboys. And I still put Ezekiel Elliott as their RB1. And I don't like, this is not really a hot take anymore that Tony Pollard's better. Then they have Rico Dowdle. That's like their guy at their third tier, very similar to Scoop. I already forgot what's his name.
Snoopy.
Oh yeah, Snoop Connor, not Scoop.
Snoop Connor.
Snoop Connor. Yeah, I don't know much about Rico Dowdle, and they also drafted Malik Davis, or I don't know if he's an undrafted free agent. Don't know much about him, but that duo at the top, you got two very, very good running backs, and Zeke is overpaid, massively overpaid, one of the worst contracts in football. We're not talking about that. We're not talking about running back values. We're just talking about 2022 season, best group of running backs, and Zeke is still good. And Tony Pollard is as good as an RB2 as you will find. So, yeah, I'm going to go with the Cowboys there. I think that I know Vikings fans are going to get mad that Dalvin's better than Zeke, yes, but I think Tony Pollard's in a different tier than Alexander Madison, and that more than makes up the difference between those two. And you can talk, I know we're talking about groups, but once you get into pass guy 4, 3, 4, it doesn't really matter that much. So I think that duo has to be top 10. I have them at 8.
All right. Number 7. I got the Patriots at number 7. Always like their whole committee that they run. They always seem to, and one thing that I like that they do also is they never pay running backs. They never put a ton of money into that position. And it works for them because, you got Damian Harris, who a couple years ago burst on the scene. He was really freaking good. And then he had a great year last year too. And Ramondre Stevenson, same thing. Last year, he did really well. That's a really solid 1 and 2. And Pierre Strong, who they drafted out of South Dakota State this year. I was looking at his stats from last year, and he put up some pretty big numbers. It's almost 1,700 yards and 18 touchdowns. And I always say with FCS players and stuff, it's kind of, and we have a good friend. His name's Elliot. He's a huge NDSU, North Dakota State fan. And so he's probably, if he's watching this, he's probably yelling at his screen right now at me. But, and I'll probably hear from him if he does end up watching this. But it's just a different level of competition, So looking at Pierre Strong's stats, it's impressive, but also at the same time, you got to remember who he's playing against. And then James White has always just been a solid out of the backfield, go out and catch a pass. I almost said pass a catch. But yeah, just you have 4 guys there. Well, I shouldn't say 4. You have 3 guys there who are solid people that you can rotate in and out, and then Pierre Strong, who could end up being a solid player as well, as long as he can adapt to the NFL well after jumping from the FCS all the way up to the NFL.
So now we're getting back to that chemistry we had on the quarterback rankings, because I have my Patriots at 7. And then, you kind of hit the nail on the head with a lot of things. Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson are very excellent duo. They're not going to rack up numbers. Patriots running backs, just like Patriots pass rushers, never get the true elite volume stats that players and other teams do. Like,
because they
Chandler
split.
Jones was a low end, like double digit, like between 9 and 11 sacks. Then he goes to Arizona and is getting 15, 16, 17 sacks. LeGarrette Blount had a lot of touchdowns one year, but he was not a guy like consistently getting 15, 1,600 yards. But this team, like you said, 3 known solid guys. Pierre Strong was talked about being drafted on day 2 and at the very least early day 3. So I think he's going to be good. And then we also signed Ty Montgomery, who is running back, wide receiver, flex, whatever you want to call him, like Cordero Patterson-esque kind of chess piece. So, I'm not going to go on too much, but I have the Patriots at 7 just because the sheer volume of above average players.
Sure. Yeah. And at 6 here, I actually put the Cowboys at 6, and I was hesitant to do this. But because and the thing, like you said it earlier, the thing that irks me is Zeke's contract, but that shouldn't be something that's playing a factor right now in these rankings. because he's insanely overpaid. It's ridiculous how much the guy's getting paid, especially when again, like you said, Tony Pollard's the better running back on their team. But that duo that they have there, it's so solid. I mean, you got 2 top 15 running backs on your team at the same time. I mean, you could push it even higher than that, but just kind of spitballing it here, I'd say at least top 15 with those two. So yeah, Cowboys at 6.
Yeah, I think now we're going to be getting into a point where we're disagreeing, because I don't know if you will have this team in your top 5. And I have the Seattle Seahawks. And I'm very high on Rashad Penny. I think that if healthy, and it's a huge caveat, he has the potential to be a top 5 to 10 back in football. They drafted Kenneth Walker, who was neck and neck with Breece Hall as the consensus. Like, those two were like the only guys who people would say draft possibly on day 1 and in the top 40. And again, I don't like the pick because I think they have so many holes in a solid enough running game that they didn't need to take a running back. But we're not talking about the value. Same thing with the contract, draft capital. Doesn't matter. Kenneth Walker's a damn good player. And obviously, Rashad Penny was a monster, like had 700 yards in like 5 weeks. And then they also have Chris Carson, who I don't know, again, is he going to be healthy? But if he is, that's probably the best running back 3 in the league, other than maybe the number 1 team, who I think we have similar views on. But yeah, I have the Seattle Seahawks as my number 6.
All right. Yeah. So the next team you said you don't even have in your top 10, which I was actually pretty shocked by. But I put the Ravens at 5. And I understand the whole J.K. Dobbins coming off of a pretty significant injury. But I mean, his numbers that he was putting up just watching the guy, he's so much fun to watch. I love watching him. And even I hate Ohio State, but I love watching him for Ohio State. But here I'm looking here, average 6 yards per carry back in 2020. And that was on 134 rushes, which is insane. And then you got Gus Edwards too, who is no slouch. He does not suck. But again, like you said, coming off of an injury. Both of them did not play last year. And then Mike Davis has always been someone who I have a love-hate relationship with Mike Davis, because I would have him on my fantasy team and he would suck the weeks that I played him, but then he'd be immaculate the weeks that I did not play him. But he's a really solid guy, even out of the backfield and stuff. And I think it was Carolina who I thought used him pretty well a couple of years ago. And then Justice Hill, it was a guy that we haven't really seen a whole lot of, but he's been around for a little while as well. So yeah, I put the Ravens at 5. And then if you want to factor in Lamar Jackson, even, which I didn't, Lamar Jackson didn't factor into my decision here, but you even have that run threat of him.
So when I did my preliminary list, I actually had the Ravens at 4. And then I just went through all different teams. Now I was just looking, again, running backs are so volatile. Missing a season, you don't know what these guys are going to be. And if we were going to factor in Lamar Jackson, and this is not disrespect, and I'm not calling him a running back, but if we're talking running game, well, he is probably the most dynamic force in the running game in football, because he's going to get you over 1,000 yards as a quarterback. And that is very valuable. That's what makes him special. But I didn't factor in Lamar Jackson because we're doing running back groups, not running games. And because then if you want to do running games, you can factor in the run blocking line, and it gets really, you get into the weeds.
Complex.
So
we'd be here for 3 hours.
Exactly. So because of that, I don't think they have the high-end talent at running back. And to me, their depth doesn't overcome that because their 2 guys missed literally all of last year with significant injuries. So that doesn't overcome any of the teams. But again, all of these I'm not going to fight you on it. Like it's very solid. Like I was considering it too, but my number 5, I have the Carolina Panthers. And Christian McCaffrey is obviously, when healthy, electric, probably definitely a top 3 back, and arguably the best when you factor in his passing game, what he can do. And then I'm a big Chuba, however you want to say, Chuba Hubbard. I'm a big Chuba Hubbard guy. And they also signed Deontay Foreman, who I thought filled in admirably in Tennessee. So the fact that they have that top end elite guy with 2 guys who I think are very good early down backs who can do a lot, and obviously McCaffrey in the passing game is unparalleled amongst current backs. So I had to put them top 5, even with McCaffrey's injury concerns.
Yeah, I kind of teetered. I didn't put the Panthers in my top 10 at all.
Wow.
I teetered with them. But Chuba I wasn't impressed by Chuba last year. And I'm a huge Chuba Hubbard fan because Oklahoma State, I have a bunch of family who went there, and my mom's from Oklahoma. And so they've always been my second favorite team. So I've watched plenty of Chuba Hubbard, and I would love for him to be successful, but I was not impressed by him last year. And you mentioned the Deontay Foreman too, who I totally agree filled in really well last year. But like we were talking about before, the volatility and stuff with McCaffrey, and then not having a whole lot of like solid guys behind them who have spent a lot of time as a number 1 person in the NFL. I just didn't want to stick them in there. But at 4, I think, I'm at 4 now. 4, I went with the Indianapolis Colts. So Jonathan Taylor, one of the best running backs in the league. And Nyheim Hines too, out of the backfield, a great receiver. And then I actually totally forgot about this, that Philip Lindsay even ended up on their team. Philip Lindsay in the Broncos system and everything a couple of years ago was really solid, and I was a little bit shocked. I understand how he wasn't like this amazing elite running back or anything, but I was a little bit solid by how little attention he got after he left the Broncos and he ended up with Houston. I figured he'd get a little bit more attention from teams, but it's a solid, obviously a really, really solid number 1. And then Hines is always good to bring in on passing downs, and then Lindsay is also a really solid back. So that's where I've got the Colts.
Yeah. At 4, I have the Tennessee Titans, and Derrick Henry's the best back in football. I think even with missing a lot of time last year, and he did not look good in that playoff game against Cincinnati, you still got to give him the benefit of the doubt. He's an unprecedented bell cow. He's 6'4", like 230, just an absolute behemoth of a back. And Foreman, they'd probably like, you want to just, because we're nitpicking when you get this high up, it's tough, but Henry alone vaults them into the top 5, and I think Hilliard's good. And I think having that guy who's just in a level of his own puts them there.
Yeah. Titans, now that I did not put them in my top 10 either. And the reason for that is that I saw, because I had, and I don't base things off of fantasy football, but just hear me out here. So I had Dontrell Hilliard on my fantasy football team. So I watched him closely, and I would watch his games and stuff. And he was not very good. And his average is high, is 6.3 yards per carry, because he would just randomly break off these massive runs. But then that was it. He couldn't do anything else other than those really big runs that he had. I don't think Derrick Henry is the best in the football. He's probably top 3, but I left him off just because of the lack of depth there, since we were going for groups. Number 3, I put, and call me a little bit biased, I did put the Vikings at 3. I agree with you. Last year, Dalvin Cook wasn't what he has been in the past, which was a little bit disappointing after him having been paid so much money. But I think Alexander Madison also, he won't be a number one back anywhere, but he's a solid 2. He's a really solid 2. And then Kenny, I really hope that they bring him into the offense a little bit more this year than they did last year. Now I'm thinking that with Zimmer gone and the whole scheme change and everything, that they're gonna hopefully involve him a little bit more. Zimmer seemed to always have kind of a bias, hatred towards younger players for some reason, when they were kind of a later round draft pick and not on the defensive side. And yeah, so, and then Ty Chandler that they drafted this year, I went back after they drafted him and watched a little bit of him. And I'm interested to see how they'll implement him, if at all, in the offense. He might just end up being a special teams guy, but yeah, I put the Vikings at 3.
Yeah, I already had the Vikings way earlier on my list, and at 3, I have a team that you had way earlier on your list. And that's the Green Bay Packers. I think Aaron Jones is excellent, and I think Aaron Jones is better than Dalvin Cook. I think that AJ Dillon is much better than Alexander Madison, and then they have Kylan Hill, who don't know much about, but I think with those 2 guys, you got a top 3 duo. I think they're up there with the Cowboys with Zeke and Pollard. That was one of the best duos in football. So yeah, I got the Packers at 3. Not really much to say, but between the pass catching ability and then like just all around ability of Aaron Jones and the goal line toughness, kind of early down, get you your yards ability of Dillon, got them number 3.
All right. 2, I have a team that you said you don't think I might have in my top 10. I put the Seahawks at 2.
Oh.
Yeah, so I love Rashad Penny. Last year watching him he's awesome to watch. And I'm also a really big Chris Carson fan. And you mentioned the injury and the whole, I mean, if you've seen on Twitter the X-ray picture, it's like, you shouldn't be playing football anymore, dude. Like, because for those who haven't seen it, dude's got screws and a plate in his neck. And it's like, it's scary. Like, I'm no doctor, but I can't imagine, like, if he takes like a kind of a gnarly hit, that's not going to be good for him, I don't think. And then Kenneth Walker, I hated watching him in college because he was in the Big Ten and he always did really well. But he's just a super, super solid back. And you already mentioned it, him and Breece Hall were the unequivocal 1 and 2. Now, which way you put the 2 was up for debate. Either way, you couldn't really be wrong in that debate. But Kenneth Walker, a really, really good running back. So I'm excited to see. I'm hoping Rashad Penny can stay healthy for the entire year. And I'd like to see, hopefully Chris Carson can, his health issues with the neck and stuff isn't as severe as it kind of appears to be to someone who has no medical like experience or anything. And then Kenneth Walker, if he can translate to the NFL, even like remotely close to what he was in college, then he's going to be a really good running back for a really long time.
Yeah, I just Googled the picture of Chris Carson's neck, and as someone, I don't have medical expertise at all, but someone who had metal in their body, like a lot of it, I had my leg, again, not your neck, which again, seems totally different. But from what I know just about hardware is that it's essentially like it's able to functionally be there forever, and it's no different than if it was just regular bones and ligament, like and whatever there. So that's what my doctor told me about my screws and plates at like 11 in my leg.
I'll share my screen so that people can see it.
Yeah, it's pretty gruesome to look at. It's just like
it is.
Like your neck.
Yeah, so yeah, it's like a plate. It looks like it's on his throat.
Yeah.
It's just like scary looking. Like, and again, like you said, neither one of us have medical expertise in any way, shape, or form. But I mean, you brought in some knowledge that you heard from a doctor before, which is useful. But yeah, it maybe it looks a lot worse than it really is, but it's just kind of scary. Like if he takes one bad hit to the throat, like what will happen?
Yeah, and like, I'm kind of looking at it because like from the side perspective, it looks like it's directly on the throat. But if it's like right here and like if that's bone, I assume there's like bone there. Like,
well, what I'm thinking is that it's like and again, totally speculating. I have no idea, but like it looks like it's like like there would be a screw on either side of like the esophagus and windpipe, almost like in the bone that's protecting that. Like it's just kind of scary to think about. Yeah.
But on the other hand, like I will say, like these screws, like they are harder than bone. So
Oh,
like
I'm sure.
in the same way that like you think like, oh, you take a hit. Well, the same thing. Like if you chip a bone into your esophagus, it's like. But think about
Sure.
how rare that is. Like that's
Yeah.
kind of a similar thing. Like you think just because it's like a foreign object in your body that it would have a different effect. But like again, listen to doctors. Chris
Mhm.
Carson. If they tell you don't play, listen to them. If they say
Don't
you can
listen to
play,
us.
yeah. Who are we? We're just two kids. Yeah. So, hey, look at you showing this. I thought I was being bold. Like, I thought I was being analytically bold with my Seahawks ranking. You really went for it, and I respect that. I have the Colts at 2, and I think like where we have differed a little bit in this is that while we are ranking groups, I have put a lot more weight on that number one
Number
guy,
one. Yep.
like I did with the Titans and the Panthers, because I think that Taylor, Henry, and McCaffrey, to varying degrees, like, because Taylor was the best last year, McCaffrey and Henry have been great, but have had injuries. But those are the 3, in my opinion, consensus top 3 backs. And I put extra weight on them being, on their groups being number 1. And I also think Hines is very good. And I'm a big Philip Lindsay guy. Between Denver, Houston, then he looked good in Miami. I think if he's your number 3 back, that's excellent. Yeah, so you talked about the Colts. We all know Jonathan Taylor's a beast.
Yeah.
So I have them at number 2.
Yeah, it surprises me a little bit because I know who your number one is because we have the same one. But it surprises me a little bit that with your approach that you didn't have the Saints on here at all.
Because I'm not a huge Kamara guy.
Okay.
In the same way, I'm not a huge Dalvin guy, which is
I don't
why
disagree with you on Kamara. I figured he'd break the top 10.
well, the thing is, like, in the same way that like I'm not huge on Dalvin, which is why I have the Vikings at 9. It's like to me, if you're gonna carry your team to the upper echelon, because like I mean I don't have like the Bengals, and I think that Joe Mixon, for example, is better than
Oh
Dalvin.
yeah, sure.
But Samaje Perine sucks. Like I watched him when he was with Kirk and watched him. And obviously the Super Bowl that play up front, he stinks. So like Joe Mixon, Kamara, Dalvin Cook, like those tier 2, in my opinion, like they're elite-ish, like excellent tier 2, not the big 3, aren't good enough to singularly make you top 10, but those 3 guys are. Because I think that there's a clear drop off after like McCaffrey and Taylor and Henry.
Sure. All right. So number 1, I'm sure. I mean, it's got to be like the vast majority of people have to agree on this. The Browns have the best running back room in the NFL. Nick Chubb, one of the best in the league. Kareem Hunt, one of the best in the league. You got 2 top 10 running backs on your team. And then you have Dearness Johnson, who we saw fill in last year, and he filled in really, really well.
No slouch.
It's no slouch. And so it's hard to. I can't even like begin to like think of another team that might be better or like you could like make an argument for over the Browns. They're so good. And the fact that and Kareem Hunt's whole situation was really messed up in the first place, but the way that he just happened upon them and they just got him for so cheap. They got very lucky in that situation to be able to end up with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt on the same team. Because, I mean, you can switch them both out and they're both like, Nick Chubb, I think, is better, but they're both like not elite, but like, top 10 running backs. And you get 2 top 10 running backs that you can keep switching out. So neither one of them is ever gassed. It's not fair.
I think Dearness Johnson's better than most teams' number 2s.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, I'm with you. And the only team, if you want to go from the upside perspective, who I think could challenge them is the Seahawks.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like you have guarantees as far as you can get for running backs, because obviously like that's a position where guys get injured more than most. But you have guys who reasonably you can expect to play at a very high level. Whereas you're doing a lot of projection on Penny staying healthy, Chris Carson coming back to his normal self with his injuries, and then obviously Kenneth Walker. So yeah, I have the Browns number 1. You kind of hit everything. Nick Chubb, stud. Kareem Hunt, stud. I made the joke he'd also play kicker. Yeah, look at the Browns though, going after Kareem Hunt, and then a few years later, Sean Watson. We'll save that. We have plenty of time. We'll talk about that when the official punishment gets handed down.
There's plenty to talk about with that.
Yeah, that'll be a whole new show. And then Dearness Johnson. So yeah, Browns best running back group in the league. And question time now?
Yeah, let's do some questions.
Yeah, we got a good amount.
And it makes it a lot more fun when people give us questions. It's a lot of fun to go through and answer what people are asking. It just kind of it switches things up and throws a few curveballs in, so we kind of talk about different things.
All right, so we're gonna start. Like, here's some speed ones. One guy asked like 4, but we'll just go like rapid fire on it. Is Barry Bonds the best player in baseball history? I say yes. You say no. Okay. We can save the Bonds debate again for another show, because
that's a long debate.
I'm very opinionated on Barry Bonds, and I think he is the greatest of all time. Is Aaron Rodgers the most talented QB in NFL history? Yes.
I think overall, because I mean, he's got the running ability, he's got the passing ability, and they're both elite. So I hate complimenting him. Let's move on.
Yes or no? Boat. He's
probably,
the boat.
Probably.
He's the boat. Curry top 10 all time. Absolutely. Easy top 10.
Curry?
Steph Curry, yeah. Easy.
I don't watch basketball.
That's a yes. Is Gretzky the GOAT of all 4 major sports?
Oh, all 4.
No.
I don't like questions like this, because it's hard to compare a hockey player to a basketball player. He's at 110% the GOAT of hockey, but I need time to think about that. I don't. His numbers that he puts up are insane, and like when you compare him to like the other really, really good hockey players of his, all time, it's not even close. But
hey, Bobby Orr, that's my dad's idol.
Really?
Bobby Orr is my dad's idol. He has
my dad
picture.
Really?
Bobby Orr hanging. Oh yeah, my dad has a picture with Bobby Orr. That's like, hey, oh yeah.
My dad loved Jaromir Jagr. That was his guy.
Yeah, I mean, my dad, Boston kid growing up here. Bobby Orr was Bobby Orr. This one, okay, now this one would take, I think, too much time to do, because this is top 5 players named Joe. So top of my head.
Too many Joes. Wow.
Yeah, like, I mean, because I'm just trying to think, like, there are, like, if we're gonna go right now, we do an all time, because you have like Joe
players named
Joe Montana.
Oh, okay.
But like, if we're talking right now, guys named Joe, like Joe Mixon comes to mind. Like, there aren't that many Joes anymore. I can't really think of any Joes in basketball. Like Joe Johnson obviously was good, but
that might need to be one that if we answer, we come back to.
Yeah. Sorry, O'Connell Mafia. This one, I guess I'll answer. You can answer too. Who would win in a fight, me, Rasta Pasta, or Doug? I'd go with Doug, because he's posting gym pics, and Doug is like is a unit. Like I think, like, he's pretty thick build, so I definitely go.
Sorry to everyone who doesn't know who Doug is.
Oh, Doug is, yeah. I mean, if you're on
Doug is Doug.
Doug is Doug. Will anyone be shocked if the Jets beat the Patriots 2 times this year? Yes. The Jets will probably not beat the Patriots once. You're not there yet. Maybe you beat them once. You're not beating them twice. You're not going into Foxborough and beating the Patriots. The Patriots are a team that still, no matter what, doesn't beat themselves, and the Jets are not talented enough to beat the Patriots twice. I don't think any team. Well, the Dolphins actually did last year, but that's different.
Dolphins are the Patriots. They got their number like every year, no matter how bad they are. It's like the Vikings and Bears. No matter how bad the Bears are, the Bears might just sweep the Vikings. But yeah, no, the Jets aren't going to beat them twice. Maybe once, but not twice.
All right. This is for you. What do you think it will take for Jordan Burroughs to be considered the best wrestler of all time?
Well, I think he really hurt himself this past Olympics when he didn't make it. I think that's kind of a problem. so I remember Kyle Dake, he beat Kyle Dake swept him in two matches. It was best of 3 to make it the Olympics, and Kyle Dake swept him. He's gonna have to, and it's hard to knock him a whole lot, especially on the Olympic part, because the Olympic wrestling was taken out in 2016. It just came back for these past games. But Bruce Baumgartner, the things that guy did are so incredible and Gable Steveson, and call me a little bit biased, but if he continued to wrestle as like his actual career, if he didn't get offered by WWE to go to them, then he definitely could have ended up being the best as well. But Jordan Burroughs has to step it up a little bit and actually make the Olympics.
Will the Yankees be a first round exit? And I'm actually going to pull up the MLB standings right now, because the Yankees will presumably be
The number one
seed.
I hope so. I hope they're first round exit. I hate the
Yeah. So, and I believe, so then they'd have like a bye, because like they added like a new round. Then there's 2 series. There would be 2 series.
It'd be right now. It'd be the Twins and Red Sox, and then Toronto and Cleveland. And then they would take the lower seed, so they wouldn't get the Twins if they won. They'd end up with
the Red Sox.
The Red Sox, Cleveland, or Toronto.
Yeah, and I still think that Tampa's gonna work their way up, and same thing with the White Sox. I don't think the Yankees are going to be a first round exit. They've shown that they're just so talented. Their pitching, again, this is the thing, because Garrett Cole is their best pitcher. He has not been great. Do you trust, like, Nestor Cortez has been fantastic. Do you trust Nestor Cortez? Like, does not have elite stuff. Do you trust him in the playoffs? That's where things get hard. These guys, you're going to have a full season of starting pitching Nestor, not bullpen Nestor, like 6-7 innings a game, thousands of pitches. You will get tape on and stat data on, but still, they're too talented.
Yeah, I have a hard time seeing it too.
Top 5 athletes in Minnesota right now.
Top 5 athletes in Minnesota right now. Oh man.
I'll go quick top of my head. Number 1, Justin Jefferson. 2, gonna have to go Kirk. 3, Byron Buxton. 4, Anthony Edwards. I'm sorry if I'm omitting any Wild players. I just don't follow hockey. So 4, I got Anthony Edwards, and then at 5, I don't want to put Cat, because I really don't want to.
No, don't put Cat. Don't put Cat.
I can't. Okay. So then at 5, I guess I'll go with Danielle Hunter.
I was thinking, I was like, say Danielle Hunter. All right. So my number 1, I'd have to go with Justin Jefferson. Number 2, I'm going to say Byron Buxton. 3, I'm going to say Kirill Kaprizov. He plays for the Wild. And then 4, I'm sorry, I'm not putting Kirk in my top 5 general athletes.
What?
I'm thinking like overall athletic ability.
But
4 will be Anthony Edwards, and 5.
Your star quarterback of your football
Kirk Cousins, but I'm not putting him in top 5 overall athletes. 5. Oh man, I think I'll probably put Danielle Hunter too.
This was my most liked comment per question. Should Disney hold off producing more Star Wars movies? And I'm going to say yes. I was a big Star Wars kid growing up, and I'm not a movie guy. Star Wars is like the only thing that like I watched, like in terms of like sci-fi, popular stuff like that. I saw The Force Awakens, and I have not seen the last 2 Star Wars, so I have a lot to catch up on. I'm a big prequels guy. I want as much prequel like content as I can get. Like I want like go deeper into like Qui-Gon, and Darth Maul, and Dooku, and Darth Plagueis the Wise. Like I know like there's a bunch of like fanfic, and there was like the Clone Wars stuff, but as far as like expanding into that, yeah, hold off a bit.
Yeah. I think they're doing great with their TVs or like their series, their shows right now. which isn't great for me because I'm more of a movie guy than a show guy. I like to be able to just sit down and get an entire story in 2 hours instead of having to sit through, 8 episodes to get through a season and then have to wait on a cliffhanger for another year. So I think that they should because I think it's going well, but I kind of wouldn't hate if they came out with another movie. I really liked Rogue One. I thought that was a good little standalone, not part of a trilogy movie. But yeah, they probably stick with the shows right now.
Yeah, I'm going through, like, there's some that's just like not appropriate. Obviously, you're gonna get those. One says top 5 people named Joe. We're not gonna go that far, but I'll just say it's not Joe Biden. That's the only thing that I will leave in. If you have any Joes other than yours truly, because obviously any Joes you want to give shout outs or not shout outs.
Let's see. Our friend Joe Paul. I'll give Joe Paul a shout out.
And I'll give Cool Joe, Joe Cool, I think he goes by on Twitter. He's got like the Snoopy little thing. Give him a shout out.
I know who you're talking about there.
Yeah, we've gone out a few times, grabbed some beers, we watched the draft together.
Cool,
He's in Boston.
Here's one I like. I don't know. Have we answered this before? Which team that finished last place last season has the best chance to make the playoffs this year? Let's see. Let me look here.
Yeah, I'm going to the.
I think it's kind of. It's between 2 teams for me.
But they're in. So the 2 best teams happen to be in the 2 toughest divisions, I assume.
Yeah.
Is what.
Yes. Yeah. So I would say the 2 teams I'm looking at are the Broncos and Ravens.
I'm going to go with the Ravens because I think the Deshaun Watson stuff makes the Browns just eminently beatable because they're not going to have Baker back. Baker's going to tell them to pound sand. And I like Brissett, but in that division, I'm sorry, Brissett is not enough. And then
Steelers are going to be bad.
And the Steelers aren't going to be great. And I think, because you got to think about the schedule, the fact that the Bengals have to play a first place schedule, which means Bills, Titans, Chiefs, whereas the Ravens play a last place schedule, which is Jets, Jags, and Broncos.
Yeah.
That's, you got to think about, like, if you're jockeying for a position, it's.
Well, and especially you look at the standings there, it was 2 games separated first and last place. And so that's exactly 3 games right there.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm going to go with, even though I think that the Broncos are a better football team, I'm going to go with the Ravens because I still think they're a good football team. And it's not an easy path, but it's easier.
Yeah. No, I agree with you on that.
Any chance for Lions?
No.
And in a weak NFC? I don't think.
I got the Vikings and Packers will make it. Buccaneers will make it. So
Cowboys and Eagles.
Cowboys and Eagles will make it. Washington, it depends on the quarterback situation with Wentz, how he does. They could squeak into a wild card.
Well, it comes down to who's competing for a wild card. Because let's just say the division winners are. I think the Eagles are going to win the East. I don't know if you think the Eagles or Cowboys are going to win, but I think both of those teams are making it.
Yeah.
So Eagles and Cowboys.
We'll just say there's one, because you said Eagles and Cowboys. I think the Vikings and Packers will make it. I think only the Buccaneers out of the South will make it. I think that's it.
I mean, they're going to be jockeying with the Saints, Cardinals, and Niners for the last wild card spot.
I don't see it.
What if So I think that the Cardinals are in for a tough year. It would not shock me if they're like 8-9. And then what if Trey Lance stinks, like, and is really bad, and they get off to a slow start? Like, could you not see the Lions going 8-9, 9-8, maybe? And
yeah, I think that they're. I just have a hard time saying that both the Cardinals and the Niners will be worse than them. And like I even mentioned Washington, if Wentz can go in there and do all right, or do better than what they've had. I mean, they won 7 games last year, and I think Washington might even be better than the Lions.
Yeah, it's close, but I just had to give the Lions a little shout out.
All right. We got anything else here? See, yeah, there are some weird questions. I didn't read through all of them.
Yeah.
Some weird people on Twitter. I think we covered it all. Yeah, so that would put us to the end. We went a little bit longer. Our beer thing definitely went a lot longer than expected. But
Imagine if we did a top 10.
Yeah, we were like, should we do a top 5 or a top 10? Thank God we did a top 5. But yeah, we really appreciate the questions and everything. Like I said, it's a lot of fun to get to go through those and read those and answer them. So keep them coming whenever one or both of us will put out something before every recording, probably about a day or so before. And you go check that out and give us a comment of a question or something that you would like us to answer. It doesn't have to be sport related as long as it's not weird. But
yeah, I put like normal social etiquette applies. Like, you can there's stuff like not like you wouldn't talk about with your boss. That like we'll do, but nothing that is like
something you talk about with your friend that's a coworker and in your workspace. Like
something that you talk about like with like your friends who aren't like your closest friends, like your acquaintances. Like you're at a party and you're like shooting
I don't want to make them feel uncomfortable, but I want to ask them a question kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, some of these are weird, guys. But okay, so yeah. You can find me on Twitter at I forgot, Jared Bars NFL. It's JaredBars NFL. And then Joe at Real Joe Spinosa, RealJoeSpinosa. And the podcast is at Analytical Bold, not analytically, because they wouldn't let us put that. So it's Analytical Bold, no underscore or anything in there. And yeah, we appreciate you watching, and we will see you next time.